Thank you all for being here. My name is Caroline Levitt. I'm amazing. I don't give a fuck who wants to start us off today.
Caroline, over here, Caroline.
Yeah, you in the front. Hit me. What you got?
Caroline, we are experiencing historic lows when it comes to border crossings since this administration has taken office. Do you have any comment on that?
All right, let me just say this about those numbers. I am in awe of them. You can quote me on this. We can do better.
Caroline,
we get 1,000. I want 10,000. You
What?
say jump. We say how high.
Wait.
You say no habla inglés.
Yeah.
We say adios. Next question.
Caroline, you're in the front. You're in the front, Caroline.
Peter, hey, what you got for me today?
Caroline, as you know, there are a lot of people who say you come off too direct as the White House press secretary. Do you have any response or comment to those people who criticize you?
Actually, you know what, guys? Can I make a formal apology today? Is that okay?
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah. To camera?
Oh,
Yeah, that's fine.
wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am sincerely sorry that I'm not a little bitch. Next question.
Caroline, you're in the back.
Yeah, you in the back. What you got?
Caroline, you recently finished your first 100 days as the White House press secretary.
Thank you.
How has your relationship changed with President Donald Trump?
Prezi T, that is my fucking boy right there. And let me just say this. Hey, shut the fuck up, all right?
Goodness.
Let me just say this about Donnie. In order to be the president of the United States, you gotta have tenacity and thick skin. And that motherfucker stands on business.
Yeah, that's fair.
All you left-wing media fucks out there, listen up. You keep taking shots at my boy Donnie because he wants the fight.
Really?
Because guess what?
What?
We coming for you, little bitches.
Caroline.
That's all the time I got for you. Fuck. I'm out.
All right. Next time we're going to screen that. Next time we're definitely going to screen that first. That was a little expletive laden for the first minute of the show. Not going to kid you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, aka Good Lawgic. I said host. That's right, host. Not any kind of leader, just a host. And as the host, and I recognize that every once in a while, we might be ripe for a little development, a little change, a little added spice to see if I can enhance the product I am delivering to you fine people, because I genuinely value your time and your attention, and the fact that so many of you come back here night after night. And my objective is to do everything I can to maximize that experience for you, for however long you manage to stay here till you drift off to the dulcet tones, which is invariably what's going to happen to a bunch of yous. That's all good. But the idea is that it should be as entertaining as possible. One of the things that I found is that the dynamic that happens here is very different depending on whether I'm solo or bouncing off with someone else. And for the most part, I think you've seen that I've been flying solo on almost every night for like the last, year and a half. Very rare for me to bring someone in here. And I was thinking, I think I might be shortchanging you. I think that there's a different element I can bring in here if I'm able to parlay off of with someone else and have some sort of exchange where that person is sort of like the voice of the chat. They sort of serve as your voice. That's my objective. I want them to serve as your voice. Now, I'm not going to kid you. When I was talking to Lady Lawgic about what I was looking for, she said, basically, you're looking for another you to talk to. That's what you want. You want another you to talk to, but just like, and I was like, yes, slightly uglier and not quite as fun, but otherwise me, maybe a little slower so I can explain things to me. That would be the ideal. I don't expect to find a mini me. And I think that if I lay out my search as being for the search for a mini me, that does not send out the right type of vibe that I'm looking for this channel. So I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for someone who's smart and engaging, who I can establish a healthy vibe with, who can help bring in topics for me to talk about, and hopefully, ask type of questions that you guys would ask. That's the objective. And with that, I bring to you, this is the first guy I'm trying here. Okay. Hopefully it's, we'll see. And I'm thinking about doing this. I didn't explain it to him exactly like this. I told him I'm going to try it out. We'll see how it goes. And it may not work for him. It may work for me. And he'll be like, not so much for me. And that could definitely happen. When you hiring a new rabbi, which this happens sometimes. The way a synagogue is set up, sometimes there'll be a rabbi, and he's like, all right, I want to be the rabbi of this shul, and I want to bring in congregants. And people will come in either because the shul's in a good location, or it's nice, or it's the only one in town, or he's got, he's a dynamic speaker. Other times you'll have a situation where you'll have a congregation in search of a rabbi. And in that circumstance, what they often will do is they'll bring in a bunch of different rabbis on a week-by-week basis and say, come on in here. Let's see how we fit and vibe with each other. They call it, it's a Yiddish term, they call it a praba. And that's basically what's happening here. And the first guy up here, who I think, honestly, from the first moment I spoke to him, everything has gelled. And one of the things I like a lot is that you all know him because he's been here in the chat on a fairly regular basis, is Mr. Jim Satala. And I welcome you to the show, my brother.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going, everybody?
So Jim, who's been watching, you've been watching my channel for years now.
Several years, yes.
Yeah, at least 2, maybe 3. You go way back here. So
I think I go back to when you had below 10,000 subs.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I didn't want to go out on a limb there, but I was like, I think you were not like the first 50 people, but you were like right when I started growing. I think you must have come to me through seeing me on Nick, right? That's what I'm assuming. Yeah, because that's the first 2,000-3,000. Yeah, after I got past 1,000, the next 10,000 were all people who found me through Nick. All right. Well, why don't you tell people who you are, a little about yourself, and then we'll get on in.
My name's Jim Satala. I go by Jim Tells You on YouTube and Rumble, and on locals, I'm Satala Consulting LLC, which don't ask. Anyway, that was just the name I picked. But I live in Florida. I've been here since 2014. I was in the Navy for 6 years as an electronics technician, and then I became a union electrician for Local 134 in Chicago, and I did that for about 20 years, and then I retired and came to Florida.
Sweet. So how long have you been living in Florida?
2014.
Oh, wow, awesome. Well, I'm really glad you reached out to me. When I put out an open invitation, and he was the first person to reach out to me, and I like the feel of I felt like we were on the same page in the first conversation I had with him. And I'll tell you, I got my first super chat of the night. I just want to pull up here real quick before we get into topics. But I had Jim screen through and throw me different potential topics to talk about. But I'm totally cool if he would throw me some topics that most of this I haven't really gone through. And this way I sort of get a fresh take and able to give you my reaction to stuff that I figure people in the audience are likely to be interested or talking about. Before I get to that, let me just get this out. This is such a beautiful compliment. Last night on the Fine program, he said, "Yo, Joe, I asked ChatGPT about you. Quote, he's what LawTube should always aim for. Knowledgeable, passionate, and totally unfiltered. I call him the Joe Rogan of legal YouTube, but smarter and with better courtroom ethics." My God, that is an amazing. I have to save that somewhere. That's the most awesome compliment I think I've gotten in a while. Thank you very much. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Carson Depp saying, deeply offended you didn't offer me the job. I know that you're insecure about me being smarter and funnier than you, but I'm engaging and interesting. That's true. I put an open invitation out there. I didn't ask anyone. I said, here's my open invitation. Let me know if you're interested. Rest Town for the Jim Go. Young rapscallion just needs someone to open a door for him. Yeah, I did put out there. I didn't tell Jim about this. So I often have a goal. So if I get if that tonight's goal is if we get 15 yellow or higher, which so far we have 2, which that's a very healthy start during our 2 hours. That's the audience way of saying bring Jim back.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. This is why Wrestler Town is.
That's a lot of pressure.
It's not pressure on you because if we don't reach the goal, that doesn't mean I'm not bringing you back. But it's that's how I'm taking it as the chat really digs you. So I think that's whatever. Anyway, so starting us off with the first topics. What do you got first?
Okay. Well, I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's going on with the Pope.
I heard about the Pope.
Well, yeah, there's a new Pope.
There's
And,
a new
you know,
pope.
the white smoke blew, and there's a new pope.
Why is it white smoke? What's the deal? What do you know the background of that? Like, why? I know is black smoke burning. Is there always some smoke there?
Well, I think it's just either black or white smoke, and each day they have a conclave to decide who the pope's going to be, and then if they don't come to a decision, it's black smoke.
Right.
And then if it's white smoke, that's my limit of knowing what that means.
Okay, but so and how long does the white smoke go for until he's officially sworn in? Or I'm not sure. Does he get sworn in?
I think it's just just until like then they ring all the bells in Rome and tell everybody, and then they know.
There's a ceremony. Obviously, there's a ceremony welcoming him. I remember seeing stuff like that. Yeah. So what they stop the white smoke after that, I assume. Then it's not like this continuous smoke.
No, it's just a short. Yeah, no, it's just a short thing. Maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes of smoke, and people are, they're always watching for the smoke.
So there's no smoke now, even.
No, I don't think there's any smoke now. I don't even know. There might be smoke when the Pope dies, but I'm not sure.
I don't know. Maybe the chat might know. The chat's definitely gonna know. They're gonna know better than me. I don't know. I'm left with that. Okay, so let's see what we brought up here first for us. Let me add to the stage. How am I gonna do this way? This is not what I want. I gotta remove this and add this to the stage. There we go.
This is the first.
Clip.
This was Steve Bannon, basically like a week or so ago, talking about the Pope, and he called who the Pope was going to be, and he has some opinions about the guy.
Okay, let's hear from Steve Bannon.
I do think one of the dark horses, and I think unfortunately he's one of the most progressive, is Cardinal Prevost. I don't think he's getting enough play. He is certainly on the short list as being, and I think it's pretty shocking given how the contempt they hold the American church. The American church
stop
gives
for
so
a
much
second.
money.
I gotta tell you this: if you're in this industry, what he did there is like I'm sure he doesn't like Prevost. I'm sure he doesn't, from everything I've heard about Prevost. But for Steve Bannon, him being selected is like kind of like a massive win. That it's like he looks prophetic. That he's like calling it as far as this guy and warning the world about it. So for Steve Bannon, and I have to say, kudos to him, as far as identifying Prevost and introducing who he is to Piers Morgan's audience a week before the guy gets in. But what else does he have to say?
Money. They're afraid it has too much power. So they've never really wanted to have an American Pope. But my understanding is Prevost is one of the ones closest to Francis ideologically. He's also had tremendous experience in Latin America, and so he's one of the ones on the short list. I'm a big believer that Cardinal Sarah from Africa would be a perfect selection right now for this moment in the church. But I will tell everybody, this is anybody's game right now between Parolin, one of the traditionalists. You have no earthly idea how this is going to turn out. That's why I think this run up is so important, and it's interesting that it's ironic. It's going to take place. It's going to kick off, I think, on the either the day of or the day before the 80th anniversary of victory in Europe. So it's very symbolic of what's coming together here in the first part of May.
Wow!
Yeah, and believe it or not, the Sarah, the guy from the African cardinal from Africa that he was talking about that he thought would be the best one. Ironically, it would be the most right wing. If you could imagine, Pope is a guy from Africa.
And it's not like, it's not a matter as far as like right wing, like politically. It's a matter that on social values, like you would think that the church would want to have a return to that. And have you thought about like why would they go this direction, specifically take the most liberal one?
Like you said, he's the closest to Francis's ideology as far as with migration and open borders and
Well, you had some clips on that or some.
Oh, I did.
So why don't we go through what people are saying about him, and then I'll give you my thoughts as to why it is that they went in this direction. But
we can go, if you want, we can go to the bastion of right-wing thinking, Brian Krasenstein.
The bastion of right-wing thinking. Can you make that like a little bigger for us?
Sure.
All right. Dear MAGA, Pope Leo XIV, formerly, I should say it in his voice, Dear MAGA, Pope Leo XIV, formerly Cardinal Robert Prevost, demonstrated a strong commitment to supporting migrants, particularly Venezuelan refugees fleeing economic hardship. He was noted for his special concern for these individuals, emphasizing assistance and integration into the community. You see, yeah, I think Brian here is, I think his point is actually like trolling MAGA. It's his way of trying to troll MAGA. He's like, yeah, he's everything you hate. He's all about illegal immigration and getting them filtered into your communities, and you're gonna hate this guy. That's what they. It's almost gloating. This is gloating to me. This is totally gloating.
It gets better.
All right, what do you got? The new Pope also attacked J.D. Vance 3 months ago. Beautiful. J.D. Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others. Oh my gosh. Dr. Prevost. Say it ain't so. The new Pope also posted about Trump's immigration policy being problematic. Oh, problematic? Yeah, the new Pope can finance the cost, the healthcare cost, the scholastic cost, the loss of jobs, the damage to our economy. He can finance all of that. I mean, the church has a great deal of assets, but I don't think that's going to be happening. Additionally, the new Pope retweeted a post asking how one's conscience can't be disturbed by what Trump is doing. Rocco Palmo sent out, as Trump and Bukele use Oval to Feds illicit deportation of a U.S. resident, once an undocumented El Salvadoran himself, now D.C. Aux plus Avila asked, do you not see the suffering? Is your conscience not disturbed? How can you stay quiet? Oh, my God. Do you not see for this El Salvadoran, the one who's trafficking people?
Mm-hmm.
This
the
is
one
why
who beats his wife.
Yeah, beats his wife and is trafficking people. Oh, the humanity. Oh, we need to feel so terrible for him. This is why they're a joke. They're really a joke. I'm trying to figure out why this thing is not coming to size. It does not. Whoops! I didn't want to do it like that. That's for sure. Let's do it. This. Come back to this. All right. Oh my gosh, that is very, very.
And of course, he tweeted, about George Floyd.
Oh yeah, the new Pope also retweeted prayers for George Floyd.
Sorry.
We continue, and family a MAGA boogeyman. Oh, see, he is gloating. I told you he's gloating. We continue to pray for Mr. George Floyd, his family, and his honor as we pray for Pentecost. We ask the Holy Spirit to unite us and heal our wounds. May all hatred, violence, and prejudice be eradicated so we may live in harmony and in peace of. See, this is so. So why were they taking this guy? I'll tell you why they're taking this guy. I'll tell you why. It's the Trump effect. I think that this is reactionary to Trump. I'm really thinking that they basically. I mean, the whole world is, all these countries across the world are basically mirroring or trying to mirror Trump, other than the fact that Canada seemed like really ticked off about the fact that Trump was sort of mocking Canada. So they said, okay, we're going to bring in this guy here to show you that we don't want to be part of America, and we're rejecting Trump. And then he came in and to the Oval Office and started kissing Trump's feet. But I'm going to tell you right now, you see how the world is starting to turn towards Trump, and I think this is the church's way of trying to say, like, no, we're gonna stick your nose in it. We're gonna take the first American Pope ever, and we're gonna basically show you that we're rejecting everything about Trump. I have to think that, because Trump has such an impact on how people across the globe think. I mean, we've seen so much evidence about that. It doesn't matter what country they're in or how far away they are, that it's definitely, people are taking sides. I think they're taking sides as to, like, do you agree with a Trump perspective or not? And this is the way the church is. This is the way of the church signaling It's their way of basically saying "F you, Trump." That's how I read this. But tell me if you think that's a crazy.
No.
You're Catholic. I mean, you're at least partly Catholic, right?
I was raised Catholic, yes, but I don't go to Catholic mass or anything like that anymore. But I think the church, purposely wants somebody that can attack, maybe not attack, but push back on Trump, and people can't say anything because, well, he's American, so he's got a right to do it. He's got a right to say stuff about America.
Yeah.
So there's that, and
So you think that gives him more? You think it gives him more gravitas that since he's an American attacking the American president, it gives him more power?
I think it gives him more credibility with Americans, probably.
I mean, the other explanation could be what Nana knows in law of self-defense, saying most of the cardinals in the selection process were placed by the last pope. So of course they chose a woke guy, which is what law of self-defense is pointing out here. I note that the open borders, unlimited immigration Vatican is surrounded by 40-foot tall stone walls. Yeah, they're very, very open. It's rules for thee, but not for me, apparently, which unfortunately, that's been a stigma of the church going back for the last 20 years. It's like they tell everyone else what they should do and then got hit with scandals for their failure to actually, to actually ensure that the church itself was recognizing God's law. So this is probably the more likely thing. It's almost like, if you have an election between Trump and Kamala and you take it in the DNC, well, when they're deciding who the president is, it's pretty easy to see which of them is going to win, irrespective of how good or how great one may be and how terrible the other is, that they're just going to go that way. And over here, if he ends up stocking the selection process with all these cardinals who have a similar ideology to himself, well, it's not surprising that they find the wokest of them. It's like mirror. They may have been playing mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the wokest of them all?
Well, I mean, he was a missionary, so he went around the world, different places. He's not been I don't think he's been in the U.S. for 20 years.
Right.
So he has connections probably to a bunch of different congregations, and so that's probably what pushed him over the top. Because
he's been missionizing.
Right.
Oh, that could be. I didn't thought of that.
I mean,
you're getting a lot of love, by the way. You're getting a lot of love.
From hopefully
Catherine K saying, "Go Jim, Blasterbot. Jim seems cool." Look at this. So much.
I try.
No. So I'm glad that they're appreciating what you're bringing to the table. There was something from Laura Loomer also, right?
Oh yes, there was. Hold on, let me get it.
Did you have that one?
Well, there was just one thing first. This last little bit
from
Brian Krasenstein. He just, I had it shared. If you want to pull it.
What did he have? As a progressive liberal Jewish American, I support his select. Oh my gosh! Why do you, Brian? Why? It's almost. Oh my gosh! Oh, why? Now, I never really thought about Krasenstein's religion until he just put it there. And yeah, ending in this, and it is Stein, by the way. It's Krasenstein. I don't know how does he pronounce it? It should be Krasenstein. It should not be Krasenstein. But I'm sure his grandfather said Krasenstein.
They're actually right here in the same town as me. They're in Fort Myers. So
are they really?
Yeah, I've never ran into them though.
I had Brian on the show here. Like, Brian and I get along, and I don't want anyone to get that wrong. Brian and I get along. I think that I struggle to have healthy conversation over the last 6 months with him. I had him on like a year ago, and I was debating him, and we had like healthy debate. The more it started looking like Trump was going to win the election, the further his TDS, the more hardcore his TDS became. That was pretty apparent, that it was just like, but why do they always have to? Why do you vote? Who cares that you're a liberal Jewish American? Of course you do. Big surprise as a liberal Jewish American. But why do they have to like cloak themselves in the big giant J cape? And here I am, no one really thinking about your religion, and now throw in that since you're Jewish, why can't you just say as a liberal? Why? I mean, why? It's almost like I take it personally. Like, it's like, stop. Just stop. Stop embarrassing me. Oh, gosh. We could have skipped past that one, Jim. We could have skipped past that one.
I know how
so ready to move on. I was very, very ready to move on. I was like, all right, that's enough from the Grasensteins. We don't need
I figured that one would get you a little.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And we do have a little bit from Laura Loomer, but I think it's I'll pull this right here.
The new Pope once retweeted a post about how we need to keep prayer for queer criminal and drug addict drug flow. Yeah, so you were good to keep this one out. See, you were better than me because this is a repeat of the other thing that she's posting out there.
So it's just same thing that Krasenstein had talked about.
Yeah, we'll move on from that. All right. So yeah, new liberal Pope. Fortunately, I don't think the Pope's politics end up carrying nearly the same gravitas of having political influence that it did certainly centuries ago, or even like 100 years ago. Like, it's almost as if it'll have some impact, I think, on devout Catholics, but it's far less. It seems to be the political voice of the papacy seems to have dimmed considerably, even over my lifetime. When I was young, Pope John Paul was the Pope, and I remember people taking his words and his messaging far more seriously and far more to heart, with far more reverence. That's really the word I'm looking for. Far more reverence than with the last couple of popes, or what I expect to see from Pope Leo. So. And I think it's probably because he was, from what I recall, Pope John Paul was much more into family values. Like, it's like and that's what you would think that the papacy should be about, right? I mean,
yeah, he had a lot to do with Lech Walesa and the Solidarity movement, Poland, and during the late 70s, early 80s, which actually John Paul, and that was a big thing. And people are trying to make comparisons to that because he became Pope at that same time when that was going on in Poland, the fight to get away from the Soviets, and how people are comparing it, basically saying, so now we have an American one in the fight to get away from fascist Trump.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Wellesley's touching on this here. Immigration stance is the same as John Paul II said. It isn't necessarily a political stance; it's more a faith stance. But those posts are political. When he's sitting there going after J.D. Vance and going after Trump, that's turning a religious stance and basically trying to use religion to influence politics.
But Pope John Paul's stance wasn't that everyone should allow unlimited people to come in. It was that countries should allow people to leave if they want to leave.
That is a very different stance.
Yeah.
That is very. I'm glad you pulled that up. Thank you. LB says, reported here in Illinois that the new Pope is a registered Republican. No one cares. No one cares what people are registered as. The registration of individuals.
So was Jim Comey.
Yeah, it's very misleading. They love that. It's something that the left loves to do whenever there's someone who's got an R next to his name who says anything bad about Trump. It's like, and you say he's a Republican, which is such the silliest thing in the world. Rest of town saying the Vatican has been having trouble with U.S. Catholics because we don't play ball. They did elect him to fight Trump, and it was a dumb choice. The entire battle is in the U.S. Catholics' backyard now. Oh, so rest of town's agreeing with me that it was a matter of trying to thumb their nose at Trump. That's what this was about.
But I mean, if you look at what the other countries like Romania did to get that guy that was Trumpian out of office, and then you got the other, Hungary and Hungary with the Orban that they don't like because he's kind of like Trump, and
yeah. Which what kind of like Trump means populist. It means populist and not and putting your country first. One of the things that I remember hearing people talk about as far as like America first is so alienating. And it's like, no, it's not alienating. That's what every one of our political leaders should be, America first. And if you were from Canada, every one of your leaders should be Canada first. And if you're from Poland, it should be Poland first. And from France, it should be France first. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's why you're electing them to look out for your interests. If they're not looking out for your interests, why the heck would you have a democracy? Why are you voting for these people? They're supposed to be benefiting you, looking out for you. If they're treating other people who are not national citizens of whatever country, in that case, you're an idiot for thinking that it's totally okay to make your own interests secondary to any stranger anywhere across the globe. It's so illogical. And then they turn it as if like, oh, you're heartless, or it's not heartless. It's a matter of, to pretend that we're able to cure the world, that we have enough money to cure the world, which is a joke. We don't have 1/1000th of the money necessary to cure the world. Not 1/1000th of that. So, but all it can do is bring enough people on ship to drown the ship. That's all we have, and we have money that we can bring people in, and it's like basically we're supposed to be the world's lifeboat, and a lifeboat that can maybe hold 15 people, and they've already brought in 120. So you're just like, and there's another 3 million waiting to come into the boat. If you're talking like paradoxically on the numbers here, so
it's like on an airplane with Joe, when they say in an emergency, the first thing you're supposed to do is secure your own mask.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. Score one for you, Jim. Take that, you other probo wannabes. So, is the new guy the cult leader? I've never seen him in the tunnels. Are you the cult leader?
Just a member.
Okay. He's just a member. There you go.
I have several tracksuits.
And Jesus told him, give back to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. There you go. You didn't expect Andrew to get all religious here, but he's quoting Matthew. So let me just do a quick check in the ghetto, because otherwise they get very testy if I don't check on the ghetto, and I haven't been checking on them yet. And oh my God, I'm glad I did. Jade Schwalbach, Joey, hit me with a fitty. This guy. Let's pop this out so we can share it. We can share it with everyone. What? Wait, where'd you go? Why is this? This is not working. Put you over here. Sorry about that. I had a little technical issue there. I wanted to share mine. I'll remove you and add mine. We got to learn how to do that. All right. So he says, Jojo, fat electrician, angry cops, 3 men enter, 1 God man leaves, a figure of worship with divine and human qualities. I need this. Also ask them about the unsubscribed podcasts. I did forget to call him today. I'm not going to kid you. He asked me to, but I got to blow the horn for this guy. Yeah, that is what he did ask me to do, and I meant to do it, and I have not. Is that
about the Buffalo
busy.
schools?
Yeah, to have him on to talk about the Buffalo schools. Maybe I can talk some law with him, like help enlighten him on the law, because I know that when he was trying to explain, he seemed confused by the best evidence rule, and with respect to that there was video cameras, and then they didn't have the video, they didn't have the video recording, and had a video of a video, and he was saying that they didn't want to take that in. So I wanted to sit down and walk with him and explain to him about best evidence, and maybe have him on this show to help publicize the situation in Buffalo. And I'd love to get him and Fat Electrician on. And just for you, J.H. Schwalbach, I'll reach out to him and ask him if I can get him and Fat Electrician on, even though I've never met Fat Electrician.
Have you ever watched any of Fat Electrician's stuff?
I have. Recently, I've become a recent Fat Electrician, big time fan.
And one thing to remember from his is never mess with America's boats.
He has tremendous charisma. Fat Electrician, tremendous charisma. And the way he's able to capture you and hold your attention for 30 minutes, 40 minutes while he's telling over and dissecting the details about some individual or some story that's a talent that I deeply respect. So yeah, I wish nothing but blessing for him and his channel, because everything I've seen so far, I'm like, this guy is golden. And that's not at all me trying brown nose get him on, because I'm sure he's never going to know that I said that. But let me just share this next thing from Jay Schwalbach, who's Jay Schwalbach saying, "P.S. I like Jim, but he could show us more cleavage." This is true. You could if you were serious about the promo, you probably would. You
Well,
probably
next time I'll wear a tracksuit.
All right. So we were talking about how the whole world reacts to Trump, and are we moving on? Are we ready to move on to the next topic here?
We could move on to Ed Martin and the whole debacle with Tom Tillis and
Yes. When he shared with me this morning, for the last 3 days, I cannot tell you how hard those of you who are interested in probating, that's not a word, but those of you who are, I just want you to know that from the moment I said to him, I was like, I'm going to hope that you'll send me some links. And this way I'll be able to say, this looks like a good topic. This is not, whatever. And if we find a good topic, then try to find a few that I said, this is a good topic, try to find a few more links. So that day he sent me like, I don't know, 3, 5, 7 links. This was 2 days ago. Then yesterday he sent me like another 10, 12 links. I was like, oh, this story looks like it has potential. This, I'm not sure. I don't know. And then today he drowned me with 35. I don't even know what the heck he was sharing with me. There was just one thing after another. I was like, so he literally has 14 different topics for me to cover on this show tonight. And
I just didn't know what you wanted to go, and I
appreciate that. No, more is better than is much better than less. That's awesome. So, but he was drowning me. So he's busting his tail here. He is, and some appreciation from the audience. I'm just saying. Thank you. Fat electrician makes 7 figures doing eulogies. Well, you know what? Makes sense. He should. Dude's awesome. He's really good. He's good at what he does.
Like actual eulogies?
I think he means
funerals.
I think he means like when you do a thing about terrible Terry, that's a eulogy where he's basically a 40-minute eulogy, and he'll make, and I think that's what he means. But this new pope is from the Order of Saint Augustine. They rely on the charity of others to survive, meaning they don't work, unlike other ordained. So not surprised that he's pro-paying for illegals. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. By the way, Law of Self-Defense was covering, I brought up a few chats of him, covering the Chris Scher trial, which I think today ended in a hung jury.
Yeah, hung jury, yeah.
You're going to get through it again.
Yeah, and then in the same kind of thing like they did with the Karen Reed's first trial, the judge refused to ask if they came to a verdict on the top charge at all. Just basically, nope, that's not how it works in Michigan. It all goes back.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, Chris Scher, okay? If you want me to come in and serve as your legal counsel exclusively for the litigation, just come in there and try the case for you. You hook up with me, and I'll have whatever the audience decides to contribute, and from there, I'll open a give, send, go for you. Whatever they give will be fine with me.
He definitely needs better legal counsel.
You won't pay a penny. You won't pay a penny. Whatever it is people contribute, I will take that as my retainer.
I wonder,
people want to support.
Did
people want to support. They will. And if I don't get $1, I'll still come in, and I'll come in. I'll come in pro ac vici, and I'll help you out. But I want to be lead chair.
I saw someone posted 11-1 hung jury. I don't know if that's true or not. If that was the actual break, I don't know if that was released yet. What the breakdown was.
Yeah, was it 11? Which way was it? 11
I don't know. I saw someone in the chat post 11-1 hung, but I haven't seen anything yet about.
Yeah, everyone is saying, and Mike Ladd is saying his legal counsel was horrible. I had Andrew Branca on here trashing them as being basically just sloth-like and ridiculous. So yeah, bring me on. I'll do it. I'll come down there. I'll try the case for you. I'll do it. I'll do whatever I can to try. I assure you I can't be worse than what you had. That's what I'm telling you. So I'm not saying I'll get you off. I don't know. The future is murky. No one can guarantee anything. But I'll tell you this: from the little bits I saw of it, I'll do better.
He definitely would be better off if he had somebody like Alan Jackson.
Yeah, he certainly would. Alan Jackson would be better at than I would, but I don't think he's going to get Alan Jackson. So, yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. Yeah. So, and I'm sure the people will be very generous in his support. So there you go. I'll do it. Let's do it. Caveat: I've never I've never tried a criminal defense case in any jurisdiction ever, and I've never tried a case in his jurisdiction. I'm not sure if I've ever set foot in that state. But
a murder trial is a good one to start with.
let's do it. Let's do it. It can't be worse. Cannot be worse. Cannot be worse. Anyhow, just throwing it out there. Next topic up that we had was this right here. This is on Ed Martin.
This is just an icebreaker. This was Ed Martin was given an interview either earlier today or yesterday to Newsmax, and this
Beautiful.
happened.
Let's roll it.
So we need to get really focused.
Who the fuck are you? You are Ed Martin.
How you doing?
Whoa, that's an assault.
Yeah, I think isn't it like a felony to attack a federal official like that? Like
That's an assault right there. That's an assault.
because she said you are Ed Martin and then spit on him, so she knew who he was.
Yeah, and by the way, you don't even. I don't think for the assault you need to know who it is, but maybe we can raise it up to a hate crime. I'm just kidding. That's not a hate crime, but yeah, that right there, that's an assault. Probably, and especially, you probably can sue her for the embarrassment of the moment civilly.
And so we have
so gross. They're so gross, these people. All right, so yes, that was how his morning started, and then it continued with Donald Trump pretty much jumping ship on him. Right? I mean, that's what this is. Ed Martin has done an amazing job as interim U.S. attorney, and will be moving to the Department of Justice as the new director of the Weaponizing Working Group, Associate Deputy Attorney General. What is the Weaponization Working Group, Associate Deputy Attorney General and Pardon Attorney? What?
it's the group that they have got together to go after people who they feel have weaponized the government to go after. They're looking at like the people who prosecuted the J6 cases, the people who went after Trump, the people who went after Roger Stone, the people who went after Navarro, the people who went after Bannon.
Really?
Yep.
So is that group? I never even heard of this group. I never heard anything about.
They created it.
Trump created this, the Weaponization Working Group. So it's basically like it's not an official government organization, right?
It's a group inside the DOJ, like a working
group. It's a group in the DOJ.
Yes,
the DOJ as the new director of the Weaponizing Working Group, Weaponization Working Group. Why do they call it the Weaponization Working Group?
They're targeting the weaponization of the justice system.
So basically going after the Jack Smiths of the world.
Correct. I forgot Jack Smith. That was one I forgot left off the list. So Jack Smith, probably Fannie Willis and Tish James and the chick, what's her name, Jocelyn Benson in Michigan or Colorado, Jenna Griswold, all of those people, the big names from 2020.
I don't know that there's a federal crime when it's done in a state. Meaning Fannie Willis, I don't know that that's anything that she could be doing. Even if she was purposefully weaponizing, you'd have to show me what statute it is if you're wrongfully weaponizing. And those would seem to be difficult cases to prosecute. What do you got? You have
it would be it would be that whole deprivation of civil rights under the color of law.
Deprivation of civil rights under the color of law. All right, let me see if I can find. Do you have a statute for that?
I don't have a statute. I'm not a lawyer. I just watch a lot of lawyers and pick up a lot of stuff by osmosis.
No, that was. You got the phrase down. Under
because it's kind of exactly I think what they used the same type of thing when they went after. And I hate to bring what was his name, like James Earl Ray after he was acquitted. They can't really. There was no federal murder, so they went him for violating Martin Luther King's civil rights by killing him.
Okay, hold on. Now I want to. What did I say this is? This is 240, section 242, title 18 USC 242. All right, let's see what we got here. I'm going to see now when I look at this law here. We're going to come back. We'll come back to this. Whoever under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any person in the state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of rights, of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or to different punishments, pains, or penalties on account of such person being an alien. So it has to be your motivation was that he's an alien, or by reason of his color or race. Then are prescribed for the punishment of citizens shall be fined under this title or imprisonment not more than 1 year or both. So it has, the motivation has to be on account of them being
there's got to be another one, though.
or by reason of his color or race. That I found that when I was looking up, I just did deprivation of rights on the color of law. Because I don't think that's going to work. Let's see what this is. Yeah. I don't know if this is going to work here. Conspiracy against rights.
According to the DOJ, it doesn't matter a person's race, color, religion, sex, handicap.
No,
it's 242, Title 18.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what I was looking at. I was looking at 242. That's exactly what I pulled up here. I'm at 240. This is 240. Where is 242?
I just don't see anything in here about by race.
This
discriminating.
This is another
by
thing
race
that's going to say the same thing. Whoever under the color, law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any person in any state, etc., to deprivation of rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution, or to different punishments, pains. Okay, so let's assume that this is what happened to Trump, for example, or to, let's say, Jocelyn Benson, or what she's doing to people in Michigan, or Dana Nessel, right? Jocelyn Benson, I think, is in Colorado, right? Since Dana Nessel in Michigan. On account of such person being an alien, or by reason of his color or race, then are prescribed for the punishment of citizens. Oh, hold on a second. Now, it could be that when you're putting the commas here together, it's you're depriving someone of their rights, privileges, and immunities.
You share my screen. I've got the DOJ's pulled up. It doesn't say, it says specifically that it doesn't have anything to do with race or anything.
Make that bigger. Still bigger. I need it bigger than that. Makes it a crime for a person acting on the color of any law to willfully deprive a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution and laws of the United States. For purposes of Section 242, color of law includes acts not only done by federal, state, or local officials within their lawful authority, but also acts done beyond the bounds of the official's authority. If the act's done while the official is purporting to or pretending to act in the performance of his or her official duties. So that would be Jack Smith. That would be, in theory, because it could be state law, it could be Fannie Willis or Tish James. Persons acting in the color of law within the meaning of the statute include police officers, prison guards, and other law enforcement officials, as well as judges, care providers, and public health facilities, and others. Offense is punishable by a range of imprisonment of up to a life term. What? Where do you see this? I saw a 1 year punishment.
I don't know. This is straight from the Civil Rights Division of DOJ.
No, scroll down more. Scroll down more. I don't know where
I just saw where it says it's not necessary that the crime be motivated by animus towards the race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin of the victim.
And now scroll down and tell me how that reads consistent with what is written here. Because the statute's what's going to govern. Scroll down more. Scroll down more.
It was updated May 31st, 2021, so I don't know if they changed it.
Oh, this is updated? So you're saying maybe this one? So this says, whoever under the color of law shall be fined on this time in prison, not more than 1 year both, and if bodily injury results in the acts committed in violation of section, or if such acts include the use, or attempt to use, or threatened use of dangerous weapon, explosive fire, shall be fined on this title in prison, not more than 10 years of both. If death results from the acts committed in violation of this section, Kidnapping or attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, attempt to kill shall be fined so in prison for any term of years or for life or both, or may be sentenced to death. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. I'm telling you right now, I don't know.
I
know what the DOJ is claiming. I know what the DOJ is claiming. I personally don't read the statute the way the DOJ wants to read it. I'm just telling you, I'm being honest here. Like, I was sitting as a judge, I'd be like, so explain to me what those words there when it says by reason of their race, religion, etc. You tell me why that's there in the statute. Give me your best legal argument for that, and we'll go forward from there. That's what I would say to that. Anyway, let's go back to his tweet, his truth there. I want to see the rest of that.
This one?
Yeah. Okay, so we have he's part of the Weaponization Working Group, Associate Deputy Attorney General, and Pardon Attorney. All right. And these highly important roles, Ed will make sure we finally investigate the weaponization of our government under the Biden regime and provide much needed justice for its victims. Congratulations, Ed. So this is his way. I'm not going to kid you. This to me does read a little bit like capitulation. Like he's like, I'm not going to win this fight with the Senate. I don't want to go down this road and work very hard to fight the Senate on this particular issue. Are you have more stuff on Ed Martin? Or?
I do. Well, I mean, there's the reason I think I could show you. There's a reason that I don't think he could. The reason he couldn't twist Tom Tillis's arm is because Tom Tillis is going to be done no matter what in 2026. I mean,
so you think Tillis is not even going to really run in 2026?
No, I don't think he's even going to run. I think he's going to try and run for governor because here's the polling.
This is your own polling. Oh,
no, I asked Grok, is there polling for Lara Trump versus Tom Tillis? Because Lara Trump is from North Carolina. Her family is big in North Carolina as part of Republican establishment in North Carolina, and she's beaten them 6. Yeah. She hasn't announced, but this is polling that has been done, and this is probably polling that Tom Tillis is very aware of.
There's polling data available for a hypothetical Republican primary matchup between Lara and Tom Tillis for the 2026 U.S. Senate race in North Carolina. A Victory Insights poll conducted from November 26 to 29, 2024 among 800 likely voters found the following results for a GOP primary. 65% Lara Trump, 11% Tom Tillis, 24% undecided. Strong support for Lara Trump among Republican primary voters, significantly outpacing incumbent Senator Tom Tillis. Survey highlights Trump's appeal among grassroots conservatives, some dissatisfaction toward Tillis. Wow. 65-11. We have to primary the hell out of the snot out.
Yeah, there's some somebody already announced that he's primarying him. I don't know. I can look for the name.
Don Brown. I think it was Don Brown. That's the name I heard. I don't know who Don Brown is.
I don't either, but people are saying Laura Trump lives in Florida. Yes, she lives in Florida, but all she has to do is relocate back to North Carolina. Do you think the Trumps can't afford to buy a house in North Carolina?
It's not that hard. It's not that hot. Yeah. That's a fascinating thing. And look, I mean, I don't know much about other than her other than last name. I don't know much politically about how strongly
she was the one who was working as the co-chair of the RNC at this election cycle.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, that was Lara. That was Lara.
Wow. Wow. I mean, she's going to be, she's going to be dedicated towards Donald. I'm just saying. All right. So that's encouraging because we cannot have another 6 years of Tom Tillis. This guy has got to
Mike Davis.
All right, we got another thing here. Let's see what you got.
We have another thing. We have. I don't know if you know who Mike Davis is. He was.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever. He's big on Twitter, and he was also one of Alito or Gorsuch or Alito or Scalia's clerk, and then he worked on for Grassley in the Judiciary Committee, and he's the one who helped get like Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and Barrett through selection process and all that stuff. So
all right,
he was on the War Room, which is Bannon's War Room thing.
Yep.
I'm not exactly sure who this is, but
Mike Davis on the Ed Martin story. Breaking news today: the Senate is out of control as usual, doing nothing. They always contrast the show horses, us in the Freedom Caucus, with the workhorses. in the Senate and the House mainstream who get nothing done for this country. And so thank God for the show horses and the people that make some noise like Mike Davis. Mike, bring us up to speed.
Yeah, Ed Martin is a good man. He's a good friend of mine. He's a good friend of Steve Bannon and yours, Dave, on the show. We have our weak Senate Republican sisters who just couldn't handle Ed Martin's political past, and so they were very dug in. I know the president is a huge fan of Ed Martin's. He pushed very, very hard. But sometimes these weak Republican sisters, you just can't get them to change the tampons. And so here we are. Ed Martin is now going to be utilized by President Trump in another high-impact job. He's not going away. And people are going to remember this. I'm hearing Judge Jeanine Piro is being floated for D.C. U.S. Attorney now. And I think that would be phenomenal. So if you guys thought that if the ladies, the Senate Republican caucus thought Ed Martin was too tough for them, just wait till Judge Jeanine gets there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's too good. I'm smiling.
Wow. So there you go. And sure enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to this clip. I don't know what else is in here, but he did. If we have,
let's hear.
You want more of it?
Yeah, let's get more of that.
And it's not good, but yeah, just give us 1 minute to go. We got Mike Lindell coming up, and he's in a good mood lately, so I want to share his smile. But these senators, give us a litany of the names of folks they did approve. By contrast, and then we got a guy who's fighting for the Constitution, American freedom on a key day like this. It's just stunning. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Tom Tillis should invest in Tom Tillis tampons, because I think he would sell a lot of those things. Look, I get along with Tom Tillis. He's a good guy. I think that we need to be smarter on our side about getting bold, fearless people into these positions. Remember, Senate Democrats put Rachel Rollins as the Boston U.S. Attorney under Joe Biden, which she was a radical lunatic.
On this, you need no further evidence than the Pope who was selected today. When you have control, you need to fill up the power seats with people who are like-minded in order to keep that rolling. Otherwise, you're an idiot. Like, you're stupid. You're not being true to your cause if you don't fill it up with people who are like-minded. The last Pope filled up the cardinal seats with people who are going to vote for another woke Pope, which foreseeably, that's going to be, that could be a monopoly that the woke has on the papacy for generations, right? I mean, that very much can happen. Similarly, like we over here in MAGA, we need to make sure that while MAGA is riding high, we need to be primarying out these trolls, neocons, who are a disaster and basically willing to bend over to the military-industrial complex or foreign interests. We need people who are actually going to stand up and put America first and recognize that that's their duty. So he's right. He's totally right on that.
Do you think that the initial selection of Gates as the AG was a throwaway, that they never really thought he was going to make it through and it was just a way to get who he wanted in? Or
I think that's possible. I think that's very, very possible. And he saw that it wasn't going to go at all. And he probably thought to himself, it can't hurt to burn one. And if Gates is willing to step into that role, and he probably even told Gates that there's a lot of flack here, which there probably will be. We may need to do might need to go in a different direction, and I'll let you step out gracefully. But I imagine he had that conversation with them. They had to see 10 minutes down the road that Matt Gaetz was going to be facing crazy opposition. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, with Matt Gaetz, he ended up replacing him with Bondi, where it's like that's closer to neocon from what we've seen so far than Matt Gaetz is. That's like a step away from MAGA.
Right.
At the very
I don't
least.
know if Bondi's actually running things in the DOJ, because if you notice who's right below him is was Trump's attorneys, the two of his defense attorneys are right below Bondi.
Right. Yeah, you got Todd Blanche.
And then there's
Michael Bove. Yeah, they were the ones who represented him in the New York criminal action. I actually served them with papers when I was filing my ungag Trump thing, and never heard from them ever.
And the reason I think Gates was never really intended on being attorney general is because when his name got pulled back, he did not go back to the House. He just was done with politics.
Yeah, which he could have, and frankly, I wish he had, because whoever ends up taking that seat's not going to be as good as Gates. But I doubt they'll be as good as Gates. But we need to stock these seats up with people who are dedicated towards putting American interests first, towards putting not just American interests first. I want to be clearer, towards the American public's interests first, because standing up for Walmart is not what I'm looking for here. Standing up for Raytheon is not what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for people who actually care about the working class and making America stronger. Now, ultimately, you don't build wealth through building the working class, but the interest should be certainly socially towards strengthening the middle class and the public, safety, wealth, education, in ways and most primarily freedoms, where we're not dependent on sucking from the teat of the government, but able to actually fulfill the capitalistic dreams that our founding fathers had in mind for us. Because as I've said many times, and I probably will say many times more, that the Constitution is about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that pursuit of happiness has to be unfettered from government interaction, because no one can give you happiness. You can only attain your own happiness through engaging the pursuit and seeking and accomplishing through that pursuit, through your own self-development, whether it's financially or in other realms of self-development. That's how you find your happiness. So the government can do nothing to give you happiness. And the best thing that we can hope for from the government is that they get the hell out of our way. That's really what we should be hoping for from the government, and having smaller government. That's what we need to have people who are fixated on that, not bloating the budget and taxing taxing people, which is basically a way of having a type of socialism where it's like the less money you have and the more money the government has, they're taking the money from you. That's working towards a socialistic type of perspective. So the less socialistic our government is, certainly the better, and is more consistent with the original ideology that the framers had in mind. And we need to stockpile Congress and the judiciary and any roles of influence, as many as we can, with people who understand these basic precepts and are willing to stand up for them and not be swallowed up by all the money that's sloshing around DC. Sorry for getting on my horse there.
No, you're fine. That's perfect. There was another clip. I don't know where it went. Did you see the clip of we were talking about the courts and the judiciary?
Hold on a second. Give me a second. Let me get to a couple of more. Q Revere says he's loving this. Also says, so basically because Tillis is a dumbass, Martin will basically head up the second coming of the Untouchables. Yes, and yes, exactly. The second coming of the Untouchables. Those of you unfamiliar with the reference to Untouchables, that's the Fed agency which went after Al Capone and the mafia in the 30s. Will we be reviewing Kanye West's new song? I don't know who that is.
Kanye West? You don't know Kanye West? Yeah, he was married to Kim Kardashian. He's a rapper. He's.
Really?
You're not going to want to review his new song.
Okay. What is his new song called?
The title is Heil Hitler. So I don't.
Is it?
Yeah. So I don't think you want to review it.
Is it? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for getting me demonetized, out of the blue there. Appreciate that. Yeah, you. Yeah.
Well, you asked the name of the title.
I know. You have to. How long you been doing this?
I just realized that was bad.
Yeah. You think?
I'll edit that out. Sorry.
You can't edit that out. You can't just be like, oh yeah, let me just throw this out there. I'll tell you this much.
I didn't realize that could get clipped, and I could get made to look bad with that. Actually, now that I think about it,
we do not support any sort of racist.
No, we do not support that at all.
We hate Adolf and everything Adolf stands for. And
he was a shitty painter.
Yes, crappy painter and a terribly evil man. He was the personification of evil. So just make that clear, YouTube. I happen to be a practicing Orthodox Jew whose family, distant family certainly, was persecuted by none other than that jackass. And I'll go one step further. I think it's funny how many people praise him and just disregard what an utter and complete coward that man was, because he was a coward. Because when he lost, he's like, oh, I'm not facing the music. I'll let everyone else in my country face the music. He basically said that he pretended he spent 12, 15 years pretending that he is like, the ultimate, Z German. And then he basically put them in the crappiest position imaginable. And when it was time for them to face the music, he's like, I'm out of here. So that's a coward. And I think it's funny how many people are so twisted with hate and anger that they basically, revere him. And this guy, he's a loser. But so I don't really worry about.
I thought you were just joking. I thought you knew the name of the.
I did not know,
and you were messing with me.
No, I really did not know the name of the song. I didn't. I'm not genuinely upset.
Oh, I thought you were trying to get me to say it. That's why I was what's the name of the song?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't trying to screw you with you. I really had no idea. But I should have known. I should have realized. Tillis already held a fundraiser here in North Carolina for his re-election. While he originally ran 14, promised would serve only 2 terms. More lies. North Carolina GOP is Rhino land. MAGA is gaining. But the old dogs don't go down easy. Can't make a change until you control the party. Fun fact, Whatley is 1. All right. And Brian Oldenkamp try and push us ever closer to our goal. How many are we at so far? Let me see where we're at. 9 out. That's an echo, I know. That's 9 out of 15. We're doing. You're doing well. You're doing very, very well. The audience is a fan. All right, let's move on here. So we're still talking about Ed Martin, right?
Still talking about Ed Martin. I do, if you want, you were talking about the judiciary, and they were talking about the judiciary and everything. There is a clip of Chief Justice Roberts talking about what he believes the judiciary's job is and responsibility, and it's very enlightening.
Oh, please!
It's very, very short.
I haven't seen this. I want to see it. I'm sure I'm gonna hate it. I just have a feeling I'm really gonna hate this. But yeah, what do you got?
Oh, there it is.
In our Constitution, judges and the judiciary is a co-equal branch of government, separate from the others, with the authority to interpret the Constitution as law and strike down, obviously, acts of Congress or acts of the president. And that innovation doesn't work if it's not, the judiciary is not independent. Its job is to obviously decide cases, but in the course of that, check the excesses of Congress or of the executive, and that does require a degree of independence.
So he believes that the court's job is to check the executive and check the Congress. That would mean the judiciary is more powerful than the executive or the legislature, which is not the way our Constitution is set up.
Well, to be fair, it's not without some logic to what he's saying there. While I disagree with the way he phrased that, I don't think that they're there to when you say to check. I don't think they're there to check the excesses unless the excesses are infringing on foundational constitutional rights. In other words, what they're really there to do is to ensure that you're not trampling on what previous legislatures have enacted in our founding and what the core basic precepts of what the country is operating on, which is the Constitution. Meaning, they have the ability to strike down statutes, but first of all, I don't know how there's supposed to be a check on the president. I don't know where that's coming from. Like, I'm not sure what his basis is for that, unless he's referring to striking down EOs, which I guess. I mean,
they created Marbury v. Madison. They created that themselves. So
Okay, but let's assume that innovation was justifiable, given the fact that it happened close enough in time to when the Constitution was ratified, that it seemed to, the Congress could have basically gone out there and said, F you don't have that power to check us, right? I mean, they could have, then they didn't. So I guess we can look at it as their failure to do that is almost is like a tacit implied assent to that power that was grabbed by the early judiciary.
Kind of makes sense to the layperson that somebody has to decide what's constitutional,
right?
Because if that wasn't there, if the courts didn't decide what was constitutional, who does? We'd have to have an election and say, okay, we changed our mind, that was unconstitutional. No, because the legislatures would never give up power. They would just keep taking more and more power, and it would just become basically the tyranny of like how the parliament was in England that we broke away from.
No, and I can accept that. But what he said there when he's talking about how we're a check on the excesses of the other branch, that wording there, I think, is purposeful and it's wrong. And I don't care if he's Chief Justice, it's wrong. It's not. It's about the amount of power that the Supreme Court asserted for itself was the ability to strike down statutes, or perhaps, I guess, executive orders that are issued by a president. That in theory they would have that power. But first and foremost, for the entire judiciary to wield that power seems asinine and stupid, and a ridiculous read as far as how you can actually run a healthy constitutional republic. The other thing I would point out is that that's not checking their excesses. That's a matter of saying you did something that was unconstitutional. And since it's unconstitutional, you're violating a law that cannot, the Constitution is basically like, okay, here is a bunch of rules that are inviolate. So no matter what you want to come up with down the road, these are inviolate. You cannot step on these. We have these things. You cannot, no subsequent Congress can step on it unless you actually override that element of the Constitution. That's what we're saying when we're talking about something constitutional. We're saying these are like super laws, right? That's essentially, and that these super laws, you just put up a new law last week. Well, we have these super laws, which basically that new law better be consistent with these super laws to the extent that it's stepping on those super laws. Forget about it. So every amendment, you forget about it. The articles of the Constitution, you want to try and step on that, forget about it, because this is what we as a country agreed to are going to be our guiding principles. So now you can't write some new law that's going to be stepping on those guiding principles, and who decides whether or not it's stepping on those guiding principles? The judiciary. So that's not excesses.
Right.
That's
when
the
he said
wrong
excesses,
word.
He's using the wrong word, specifically because if it's something that's Article 2 power, that's the executive branch, there is no excess. That's his power. Same thing. If it's Article 1, if it's the Congress, if Congress decides they want to spend a certain amount of money on something, the judicial branch can't go, that's too much money. That's excess.
Right. Exactly. The judiciary has zero power there on spending. That's
I think you're right. His wording is not. It's purposeful. He's sending a message.
It's purposefully wrong, and an assertion of power that the judiciary does not have. So, it's a reflection. It's a reflection of a mindset that is unhealthy for the Chief Justice. So, yeah, he can't retire soon enough for my taste. That wasn't what Brian Oldenkamp dropping a 10. Thank you so much. God bless you, Brian. Brian wants you to stay. I'll remonetize a little. God bless you, and then hit us with 20. 20 Good Lawgic memberships. You're popular, Jim. Look at you. Let me see who he brought in here. Who he brought to the following. You know that I am not the leader of the following. I'm just a host. Okay, I'm not that there would be anything embarrassing about it, because the following is not at all a cult type of cult. It's
no flavor aid allowed.
Right. There's no flavor aid, no Kool-Aid, no spaceships, no throwing virgins into volcanoes, no dancing around bonfires while ripping off your clothing and shucking to the beat of a tom-tom in the middle of a forest. There's none of that. It's just about community, unity, and greater personal growth. And part of that personal growth is that we ask that people who are gifted memberships, like the membership that Brian Oldenkamp has gifted to 20 people here, that when I call your name, you express your gratitude for him bringing you into this very elite society. Elite, but not elitist.
I mean, that's not cheap either. That's like $50, ain't it? 20 memberships?
That's 100.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 20 is 100 that Brian dropped there. And the following 20 people owe their gratitude to Mr. Brian Oldenkamp, Wayward One, Cynthia J, John Jacob, Abs, Fifi, Lols, Raiden Sama, Salty. Look at that, Salty. I always confused him with you. That's not my fault. That's not my fault. Because you both have the man there. There's Jim Satala and there's Salty. I always, for the longest time, I thought it was you under two different accounts. I'm not going to kid you.
Maybe it is.
Ooh. The plot thickens.
I do have other accounts actually, but
There
it's
you
not,
go.
I have an account that's just AI videos that I created for jokes, and it's funny.
Yeah. Matt Dubinsky, PTB Rules, Court TV Addict, all these people gifted memberships courtesy of Brian Oldenkamp, King Tiberius, X Terra Bill, Crafty Glamour, Dina, S. Schultz, Kelly Davis, James Greeny, Kimby, Daniel Gygax, and Mike French. Welcome to the following. We have cookies, and I'm going to tell you, you are very popular because they basically said, we're bringing you back. As Farrell said, go sub up to Jim. Link is in the description. In fact, I'm going to take that link and add it. I'm going to pin it to the chat too. I wrote Jeanine, but I meant to write featuring, so we're going to change that.
That's okay.
And we are going to look at how popular Jim is. My God, what's your secret, Jim?
That's my boyish good looks.
That's apparently.
I shaved.
Nice. I didn't. But that's actually purposeful that I didn't shave. We're in a Jewish period of mourning, so I'm not going to be shaving until next week. The end of next week is when that mourning period ends. So I haven't shaved. We go a month without shaving. But I'm going to put it in the chat here for where people can sub up on and urge them to please go sub up to them. And while you're here, if you can sub up here, that'd be nice too. But let's face it, I really want you to sub up to Jim because he is doing a phenomenal job. We are going to be bringing him back for sure. At least for round two of at least round two of Bravo. At least
round two of the maybe. Hopefully, I'll make it to the final four.
At least round two. Yes. Q reviewer saying, check the X's of D's nuts, Madam Roberts. There you go. Wellesley saying, Joe, have you ever been called a matzah? Just wondering if it's a thing with the boys. Horrible joke. I don't even understand the joke. Oh, you mean like a cracker? Is that what it is? Like a cracker, because a matzah sort of looks like a cracker. Is that what it is? Like a Jewish cracker? That's actually pretty funny. No. Jim vaping is my soulmate. I noticed the vaping too. He does it much more subtly than I do. I'm blowing puffs here. I'm blowing clouds, billowing clouds. What? I'm gonna have to get you a cap.
Oh, I have hats. I just didn't. I don't have an NYPD hat, so
I'm gonna get you an NYPD hat. Can you please count the orange super chats as 2 yellows? We don't have to because we got for Jim. This hit us at 15 right here. So there you go. There you go.
Woo-hoo.
So for you, Charles, yes, we will. Yes, we will. Good job, everyone. I want to applaud you and ask everyone, please make sure you sub up to Jim, who's done a phenomenal job.
Oh wow! I just jumped up.
There you go.
12 subs. That's great.
There you go. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. K-Vel gifting 5 Good Lawgic memberships. I'm gonna pull these up real fast, and we'll get back into the rest of your links here because we got to see who's replacing Mr. Ed Martin. And the following 5 people brought in courtesy of K-Vel. That includes Jackie Randazzo as Farrell, Alan Boomel, Mr. Tony 36248, and Misty. All of them brought in courtesy of K-Vel. God bless you, brother. Thank you so much. Welcome to the following, you fine people there. Carlos Depp, today we celebrate VE Day. My friend's parents were on marches liberated by American GIs. God bless America. Victory in Europe, indeed. I just finished reviewing Band of Brothers. and I've been consuming World War II history, and that's one of the reasons I tuned into Fat Electrician and his breakdown of Terrible Terry.
There's a great channel on YouTube called World at War.
Mm-hmm.
And they have basically the World War II in color, the entire series that used to be on I think it was on PBS or whatever.
Really?
It's hard to find now. But yeah, it's like a 10 or 11 part series, basically like an hour long.
What's it called again?
It's called World at War. It's on YouTube, World at War. And they have a bunch of different stuff, but they've got it's basically, World War II in color.
Cool.
It's great. It starts off with, basically the pre-war stuff with the, Treaty of Versailles, and goes through everything,
Right. No, that's the way to do it. You gotta start the Treaty of Versailles.
Sorry, BBC. It's from the BBC. So it's a British one. So it's
Cool. All right, so let's get back in here. So Ed Martin is out, right?
Ed Martin is out. There is another roughly 2 minutes of Mike Davis talking. I don't know if you want to watch any more of it.
Let's move on from that.
Okay. So we have this dude right here.
All right, what do you got for us here? Donald J. Trump announcing on Truth Social. I'm pleased to announce that Judge Jeanine Piro will be appointed interim United States Attorney for the District of Columbia. Jeanine was Assistant District Attorney for Westchester County, New York, and then went on to serve as County Judge and District Attorney, where she was the first woman ever to be elected to those positions. During her time in office, Jeanine was a powerful crusader for victims of crime. Her establishment of the Domestic Violence Bureau in her prosecutor's office was the first in the nation. She excelled in all ways. In addition to her legal career, Jeanine previously hosted her own Fox News show, Justice with Judge Jeanine, for 10 years. Is currently co-host of The Five, one of the highest rated shows on television. Jeanine is incredibly well qualified for this position and is considered one of the top district attorneys in the history of the state of New York. She's in a class by herself. Congratulations, Jeanine. There you go. So she's now the interim. And I think that the question you might be asking yourself is, well, now that this is a new appointee, we know that when you make an appointee, they have 120 days. So do we start the clock over again? Or
that was a question I was wondering too. Is it
That's what you're likely wondering. Do we start the clock over again, or do you say no, you don't start a clock over again, and it's 120 days, and even if you shift through one a week, you only get to do that for 120 days, and then you gotta get someone confirmed. Otherwise, Judge Boasberg gets his shot. So let's look at some more here, because I drew intimations from another thing that you had shown me. I think it was from Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee. If you could pull that up.
Okay, hold on.
Sorry. He seems to be intimating his take on this, and I haven't researched the law on this, to be fair, so I can't tell you definitively that the clock would not start all over again and give her 120 days. My gut is that you would not get another 120 days. I don't know if you have the Mike Lee thing.
I'm looking for it. I don't know when I sent it to you.
That's all right. I saw it if you don't have that one, we can work our way through the other stuff you have on Jeanine Piro. You have anything else on her?
Not really.
There was one thing, maybe it was below this tweet.
Oh, we have Trump talking.
Oh, that's what I wanted. Yeah, Trump talking. That's what we wanted. We always like Trump talking.
All right.
There was that. Go with Trump.
But he's a terrific person, and he wasn't getting the support from people that I thought. He's done a very good job. Crime is down 25% in D.C. During his period of time. I'm very disappointed in that, but I have so many different things that I'm doing now with the trade. I'm one person. I can only I can only lift that little phone so many times in a day. But we have somebody else that will be great. I just want to say Ed is unbelievable, and hopefully we can bring him into, whether it's DOJ or whatever, in some capacity, because really outstanding. To me, it was disappointing, I'll be honest. I have to be straight. I was disappointed. A lot of people were disappointed. But that's the way it works sometimes, that's the way it works. And he wasn't rejected, but we felt it would be hard. And we have somebody else that we'll be announcing over the next 2 days who's going to be great. Yeah, but he's a terrific person, and he wasn't getting.
That's all right. That's all right. I do that all the time. Don't worry about that. Yeah. So he's very excited about that. And I saw somewhere, I don't remember where I saw it, but I did see that Mike Lee was saying, let's get this done. It was a short thing from him where he basically said, and maybe it was a scroll down from where you were, but he said, let's get this done. We don't want to have Judge Boasberg picking our next judge. The intimation I took from Mike Lee was it might have been under that. I don't know if you
might have been under it.
Yeah, it might have been under that or under the under the truth post there. I might have just seen like it was. It might have been a reply to one of those that you just showed us. But
just give me 1 second.
He was intimating that the clock continues to run, and that you get 120 days. And frankly, to me, that's the most logical way to read it. Not that you get to keep replacing with interim. Otherwise, what's the point to having?
I did see somebody post something. I don't know who it was. It wasn't Mike Lee about that you could, saying, oh, put this person in for 100 days, then this person in, and this person in. But I don't think that's the.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. All right, I got it.
You found it?
Yeah. It's just. There we go.
Okay, let's get Judge Jeanine Piro confirmed as U.S. Attorney D.C. We have no time to waste, and we don't want to give Judge Boasberg any chance to make the appointment. See, I think Mike Lee here is concerned. I think he's concerned that we only have like 10 days left. So, and I think he's right to be concerned.
I saw something about Tillis saying he would support Judge Jeanine. So, and Tillis also said that he would support Ed Martin for a different position, like a different position, like a different U.S. attorney, just not the U.S. attorney for D.C.
Yeah.
So it didn't make. It's like what?
Yeah. Uzelian says Joe, it wasn't his country, referring to Adolf. He wasn't even German. He was Austrian. He found his country to be weak and wasn't willing to fight for them, but was for Germany. Yep. All true. Uzelian also says, Joe, can we get a prayer for Brad Arnold? He's lead singer of Three Doors Down, and now he has stage 4 lung cancer. Oh, that's terrible. Prayers for Brad Arnold. That sucks. That's terrible. Halligan News says, could sue under 42 U.S. Code 1983. That's the Federal Tort Claims Act. Race is not a factor for these lawsuits, not criminal, but civil. That's the Federal Tort Claims Act. There's a very short statute of limitations on the Federal Tort Claims Act. I think it's a year and 90 days. That's what I think it is. And I think there might be a requirement that you put notice within 90 days and then file within a year and 90 days. So it's got a much shorter statute of limitations than normal. And anyone can sue under that. But you're suing the United States of America. It's not punishing the individual. The defendant there is the United States of America. So let's say the J6 defendants wanted to sue under the Federal Tort Claims Act. So you have to ask whether or not it's beyond the statute of limitations. If they were sentenced 3 years ago, whether they'd be able to sue under that. B, the perpetrators, the individuals who we're trying to go after, would not be the named defendants. It would be the United States of America, and that's not the objective here. I mean, look, anyone whose civil rights have been violated by the United States should have their claims advanced judiciously and properly, but that's not really remedying the wrongs that are committed by Jack Smith. And frankly, if Trump wanted to go after Jack Smith, it might be beyond the statute of limitations if he individually wanted to do that. But Blaster about gifting 10.
Oh, another.
Yeah, look at that. The memberships are coming in. The memberships are coming in. The following people brought in courtesy of Blasterbot. That would include. I'm back by KVL. I'll get them real quick here. But people are trying to give me encouragement, saying that perhaps the clock does reset. Aloha from Kansas receives Following 10 people came in courtesy. Please express your gratitude to Blasterbot. Awesome dude, bringing in new members of the following, including Aloha from Kansas, Mama Bear, Maria Flor, Vincent, Port Waters, Dogs Forever, Anthony Bray, Elaine, Brian Z, GF, a series of bats, and that was, did I miss one? I had to miss one. It feels like I said Vincent. Did I say Vincent? Well, anyway, welcome to the following. God bless you. And thank you so much, Blasterbot. You're awesome. Very, very much appreciate supporting the channel and helping bring people greater enlightenment. Good on you. May God reward you with blessings of your own. Margo Cleveland and Bad Hombre say clock resets.
I just asked Grok. Let's see what it says.
Oh, you just asked Grok if the clock resets?
It says yes. The 120-day temporary. Here, I'll pull it up. Hold on.
Yeah.
Tim said.
I'm going to want the links because I don't necessarily trust Grok.
Well, here, you want to share this and read it?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Make it a little bigger. Yes, the 120-day appointment for a U.S. attorney can effectively reset the nominations, withdraw a new interim appointment is made. Under 28 U.S.C. 546, Attorney General may appoint an acting U.S. Attorney General to fill a vacancy for up to 120 days or until a presidentially appointed U.S. Attorney is confirmed, whichever occurs first. If a nomination is withdrawn before the 120-day period expires and a new interim U.S. Attorney is appointed, a new 120-day period begins for the new appointee. Now, they cited 28 U.S.C. 546. I'm definitely want to see if I can pull that up here so I look at the statute myself because I don't trust an AI interpretation of the law. That just feels like, why would you need me? If a nomination is confirmed, whichever comes first, 120 days expires, a new interim is appointed, new 120 periods, because the 120-day limit is tied to a specific appointment made by the Attorney General. For example, posts on X discussing withdrawal of a nomination such as Ed Martin for a U.S. Attorney indicate that appointing a new interim replacement before the original 120-day term expires resets the clock, allowing the new appointee to serve for up to 120 days. This interpretation aligns with the statutory framework, which does not explicitly prohibit successive interim appointments. Though case law suggests that Attorney General may make a second interim appointment under certain circumstances, as noted in re grand jury proceedings. That doesn't sound like it's going to be dispositive, because when you see, let me just explain to you that citation there, 671 F sup 5D.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it's the same thing. Talking about a grand jury.
That and it also is a district court level. That's why it's a decision that came out of Massachusetts. It's not a circuit court decision, much less a Supreme Court decision. Whenever you see F sup stands for supplemental. If it's a Supreme Court decision, it's going to say F second or F third because they restarted the clock. So
well, do you really think Boasberg won't try and appoint somebody himself after the 120 days and just say, let's fight it out and see what happens? Let's take it to the Supreme Court and have them decide? Because that's what's going to happen. I could put money on it right now.
So,
I mean, unless it's explicit somewhere that it resets, he's gonna.
So this is the way. I'll pull this up. I'll pull the statute here, which they say, if an appointment expires under Section C2. So C2 is a person appointed as the United States Attorney under section may serve until the earlier of 120 days after appointment of this, or until the earlier of the qualification for such district appointed, or the expiration of 120 days. If an appointment expires under Section C2, which is this here, if it expires there, the district court for such district may appoint a United States Attorney to serve until the vacancy is filled. The order appointed by the court shall be filed with the clerk of the court. Now,
so is there a difference between the president appointing somebody and the attorney general appointing someone?
The attorney general is like the president. They're acting on behalf of the president. So Bondi's acting on behalf of the president. When Ed Martin, it's not really the president who's doing it, she's doing it on behalf of the president, which is another reminder that the attorney general works for the president, which, despite the fact that in her confirmation they kept saying, we don't want you to be Trump's man. We don't want you to be his loyal servant. You need to be seeking out justice. I was like, that's crap. That's not.
I was
in the
just wondering if there's
Constitution
a difference because one is the president under C, and then 2 says the attorney general. So it's
anywhere. Except as provided in subsection, the Attorney General may appoint a United States Attorney for the district in which the office of U.S. Attorney is vacant. So that's the Attorney General. The Attorney General should not appoint as United States Attorney a person to whose appointment by the President to the Office of the Senate refused to give advice and consent. So it's basically no. The President has
Attorney General's power
the President
flows
has
from the President. So
yeah, and the President has to sign off on it together with the Senate. That's the point. So you need the President and the Senate to confirm them. That's essentially how I'm reading this. And then they're saying you have 120 days. But to me, I read this, I think Grok's reading of this is fair because it says a person will only serve until the expiration of 120 days after their appointment. Well, okay. If their appointment expires, then the district court, but it seems to be tied to the person, not the position. You see what I'm saying? There's a concept in the law where you could talk about is it that we're looking at the individual or you're looking at the role, the thing. So conceptually here, when they're making it about that a person appointed under the section may serve, so how long may they serve for? Only 120 days. And if that appointment expires, well, that appointment would expire after 100. You can only be there for 120 days. Ed Martin has 120 day, and then the shelf life dies. But it seems as if it's not as if that position has to be filled, can only be filled for up to 120 days. It's that person, it's that any individual can only be there for 120 days. You see what I'm saying? If it said the position of an attorney general can only be vacant for 120 days, and then it gets filled by the clerk, by the court,
chief justice or whatever of that.
Yeah, by the chief, by the district court. In that case, the chief of the court. Then it would say after 120 days of there not being something fulfilled, the chief of the clerk, the clerk of the
and it doesn't say shall. It doesn't say that the chief judge shall. It says he may. So it's not like he has to.
He has the power to do so in that circumstance. Let's assume that Boasberg is a D-bag and he's going to want to try and do this as early as possible and assert whatever authority he can, because let's face it, he's Judge Boasberg, and any judge in D.C., they're looking to assert as much power as they can, going all the way back to the days of Marbury v. Madison. So he's going to try and assert his power here. Let's assume that he would. My point is that a reading of this statute doesn't seem to give him that power. However, sadly, interpreting this statute would be up to the judiciary.
Here's another question too, because this kind of goes back into with Elon with the special government employee thing, and he's got a specific term. Now, if you pull him back, like say Elon leaves before that term expires and then comes back, does that restart the clock again with the time? Does this restart? Like, could you just keep appointing different people? These are good questions that I don't know the answer to, but
yeah, I can he keep going every 100 days? According to Margot Cleveland, Q Revere is saying he can. I definitely read it that way, but here's the problem. Here's the ultimate problem. Okay, let's just face it. Let's face the reality of the situation. As I've explained with respect to many of these TROs and questions about law that never come up, when a statute is written, like this statute that I shared over here, and it doesn't get interpreted, and it can be read two ways. There's the way it's interpreted and acted upon, and then that's not really the law until a court agrees that that's what the law is. And then if that court's decision at the district court level stands up for a while and maybe goes to the circuit court, and then they approve it, that becomes the law until such time as it gets overturned by the Supreme Court. Now, it becomes the law in that particular district. It wouldn't become the law in a different district, but And a district court, and frankly, if a district court judge does it, it doesn't even become the law. That becomes the law for that particular case. The only precedent has to be set by a circuit court or higher, the Supreme Court. So it wouldn't really become technically the law. And if the only decision we have that's near being on point in interpreting this is from some district court judge in Massachusetts, in that case, it means there is no established law. And when there is no established law, that means whoever judge this comes before has basically their own willpower as to how they decide to read this, which could perhaps be read multiple ways. I've told you what is the most logical way to read it, given the language of saying a person appointed has only 120 days. So that's, to me, a logical reading of the statute. And you can have a billion people agree with me, but ultimately, if the court disagrees with me and is validated by a circuit court and or a Supreme Court, that then becomes the law. So we're sort of in an area here where there is no law. There's just people arguing about what the law should be based on the wording of this statute.
And there's probably not a lot of case law on it because prior to Bork, there wasn't really a big fight over appointments. I mean, that's when this all started. And now we're at a point where you're not going to get people from the other party to support anybody. That's where we're at now.
Yeah. All right. What do you got for us next?
Okay. I do have this kind of ties into your stuff you were talking about yesterday with the rioters and everything.
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
And so this is Jonathan Turley has basically tying. He wrote a blog tying. Is this large enough for you?
A little bigger. Good. All right. Let me just get this real fast. U.S. Attorney serves the pleasure of POTUS, so judge appoints anyone Trump could remove. I would think so. That's the way it should be. I mean, it's part of the executive branch. The U.S. Attorney is part of the executive branch. You would think they can, but we see how hard he's had to fight to fire people. So good luck there. Make it a little one size bigger, just one more. Can you make this thing? I noticed that sometimes you're sharing a screen, it's filling up, and sometimes it's this small.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Let me see if I have power. No, full screen layout. Oh no, that's definitely wrong. That's wrong. Let's. All right. I don't know why it is that's doing that. All right. We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out on our own time. All right. It appears no liberal, the naughty list, former Obama aides and liberal influencers sell Antifa line of holiday gifts. What? I didn't read this yet. This is my first time reading this. Wait, this is from December. Why are you giving me something from December?
Oh, I thought this was from you. I'm sorry. I thought this.
What is this?
He just posted this yesterday. I thought
he posted it yesterday.
Yeah, he just posted. Jonathan Turley posted this yesterday on Twitter. I saw the 6th, and I thought it was.
You thought it was May 6th.
I thought it was May 6th. I'm sorry.
You're giving me ancient news.
All right, I'll pull it down. We'll get some. I got something else. Hold on.
I don't know.
I got some. Now I feel bad. This is it. I'm done now.
No, don't worry. That's happened to me. Don't worry about that. That's totally fine. I'd be like, oh my God, this is. I shared something the other day. I was like, check this out, and I was like, oh, that's from 2019.
I kind of wanted to stay in DC.
Oh my God. You want to get to the voter stuff? Because I did.
Did you?
We're already an hour 43 in, and
the voter stuff is going to take quite a while. I don't know if you want to get into start.
I want maybe skim through them. Like we'll skip through them just so people can be aware that there are developments right now with new charges for people engaging in voter fraud. I put it in my title there, so I sort of feel bad neglecting it altogether. It wouldn't be the first time that's happened, but every time I've ever done it, I close the show out feeling like I clickbaited. It makes me feel bad. So let's do a little bit of that, if we can. Oh my God, that was
all right.
Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad about.
No, here's the first one. I got to get the other ones. I got to get the other ones up. The first one is shared, ready to start.
Yeah, just Zelian. I got it in a second. Zelian says, if anyone wants to learn about different dictators. There's a great podcast called Real Dictators. Each episode is about an hour long, so it's great for going to work. Cool. All right, let's see what we got here. Libs TikTok saying, holy crap, 6 Texas officials were indicted on voter fraud charges, including a Democrat judge, city council members, and a school board member. Rochelle Lozano Comacho, who's a Frio County judge, Ramiro Trevino, Adrian Ramirez, the Pearsall Independent School District Board member, Carlos Segura, Scrollos, Rachel Garza, and Rosa Rodriguez. What's the story? Does she have can you click that thing? 3 counts of vote harvesting. Ooh. Anything more? Does she have a link that she gives that's more than that?
I'll get it. Hold on. I got it. There's these are the pictures.
Oh, sorry. You can tell those are all Trump voters right there, right? I mean, just oh, look at the pictures. Look at the pictures. You can tell from left to right, top to bottom. That's just a bunch of Trump voters right there. All right, go on.
There's that, and so then they got this person, Frio County Judge Rochelle Camacho, 3 counts of vote harvesting. The election administrator tampering with or fabricating physical evidence. The city council Romero, 1 count of vote harvesting, and then another person vote harvesting, 3 counts of vote harvesting. This is out of Texas, which is that and
that's not good. Oh, that's.
Hold on a second.
That's all right. That's all right. Don't worry about it.
No, there's more.
We have a word from our sponsor now. I should have a word from my sponsor. That's what I should do. I haven't had sponsors in a while on here. People miss the sponsors. But that was 1 judge and several council members or school board members. So if you want, I think I can pull it up, by the way. I don't need to put you on the spot. I can pull up a couple.
Oh, here it is. Here.
Texas Attorney General announces vote fraud. Oh, you got New York Times. Share the link with me. I'll open it. I subscribe to the Times.
All right.
So just put it in the private, and I'll pull it up.
There it is.
There we go. We're working out the kinks here. Okay.
I think that's just Ken Paxton talking about it.
Ken Paxton,
Attorney General for Texas.
Oh, I know who Ken Paxton is. You're gonna tell me. He's based badass, who I've covered on this show a lot. Texas Attorney General announces vote fraud and harvesting charges. County judge, 2 city council members, and former county election administrator are among Ken Paxton's targets as he elevates his election integrity accusations to criminality. This is very important to me because one of the things we have to make sure is that elections have integrity and transparency of the integrity. Half dozen people, including a county judge, 2 city council members, and a former county election administrator, were indicted in Texas on Wednesday for vote harvesting and tampering with evidence, elevating Attorney General Ken Paxton's charges of voter fraud by mostly Latino Democrats to a criminal level. Charges surprised Latino voting rights activists who had insisted that a series of law enforcement raids on political operatives and voting organizers somewhere in the 70s and 80s appeared to have been political. But turns out not just political, but here come your criminal charges. The raids last August by Mr. Paxton's office were part of a sprawling voter fraud inquiry. This is so overdue. We need more and more and more of this in Latino enclaves near San Antonio and South Texas, conducted by Mr. Paxton's Election Integrity Unit. At the time, the League of United Latin American Citizens, one of the nation's oldest Latino civil rights organizations, said that the officers conducting the raids took cell phones, computers, and documents. Well, that's how you get your evidence. And if you have a warrant for that, that's what you do. You need to have a warrant, but if they have the warrant, you got to get the warrant. But apparently they had it. An 87-year-old retired educator described heavily armed officers barging into her home taking personal items and telling her to say afuera to them. Adios, amigos. You can kiss that laptop goodbye. LULAC leaders accused the famously conservative attorney general of trying to suppress Latino voters. That's always the screaming, suppression, suppression. That's the constant cry. Now 5 people are facing criminal charges for vote harvesting, which usually involves knocking on doors and asking volunteers can deliver completed absentee or mail-in ballots to voting centers or ballot drop boxes. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Good job. Go get him, Kenny. Go get him. We got any more stories?
Oh yeah, I have another one.
What do you got?
This is a video of this is the guy that I think is heading up Doge now, talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
He's the
guy heading up Doge.
Yeah, he's the guy. He worked for he's one of them like tech guys, another tech guy, some big tech guy. I'm not sure his name.
Okay.
And the engineer's note saying, "Hey guys, let's just look at the public voter rolls. See what we find in some friendly states." And we looked at the voter rolls, and we found that thousands of them were registered to vote in a handful of states. And then we went even further with those friendly states and found that many of those people had actually voted. It was shocking to us. And if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. And so now the question we're asking ourselves is, what do we do? We referred some to prosecution. That's ongoing right now. We're thinking through how to do it. And the reality is they have various kinds of status, and it's a very detailed analysis legally that we're working through right now about how to deal with it.
So thousands of those people registered to vote.
Yes.
In the election.
Which is a federal crime, by the way.
Well, yeah. I mean, the interesting thing is, like, the Heritage Foundation has a very good project. It's obviously right-leaning, where they're studying all cases of fraud. I looked at it before we were here. There's only been 24 cases since 2003 of somebody who's a non-citizen trying to vote. Now, those are people caught. So this would be incredibly dramatic if it was even 1,000 people.
Oh, no, Jason, it's more than 1,000. I've seen it. I've seen the data myself, and it's more than 1,000 in just a couple of states. I mean, it is shockingly bad. And this is the tip of the iceberg, guys. It's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, if they found that already, I'm sure that if it's not just thousands, it's tens of thousands, if not hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
The fraud runs so deep. We also have here Mesa County, Colorado postal worker Vicki Lynn Stewart and an accomplice were arrested on voter fraud charges. They allegedly stole ballots, forged signatures, and illegally cast them. But Democrats say voter fraud in mail-in voting is impossible. Wow.
Here's the actual story from Colorado CPR News.
Yeah, I'll make that bigger. Former Colorado postal employee admits to stealing ballots ahead of 2024 election. A little bigger for that main article, like 2 sizes bigger. One of the women, that's perfect. All right. One of the women accused of stealing and fraudulently casting more than a dozen ballots ahead of last November's election pleaded guilty Monday. Oh, not just charges, but now we got convictions. Vicki Stewart charged with 34 counts related to the ballot theft scheme, which occurred in the lead up to last year's presidential election, pleaded guilty to 1 count of identity theft and 1 count of forgery in the 21st Judicial District Court. For much of the hearing, she answered Judge Brian Flynn's questions with a simple yes. But when asked why she was willing, you got to scroll down for me here. Stay awake. Let's go.
I was trying to pull up the other story.
When asked when she was willing to accept the plea agreement, she smiled because I feel like I am guilty for the part I played in it. Oh, look at that. Wow, some accountability. Who would have thunk it? Stewart was charged in November with counts that include forgery, identity theft, and attempts to influence a public servant. According to the arrest affidavit, Stewart and other women stole more than a dozen ballots from Mesa County residents before they could be delivered to the intended voters. The goal, prosecutors said, was to test the state's voting safeguards. The scheme was uncovered when some voters alerted authorities after the Colorado ballot tracking system informed them that their ballots were being processed, even though they hadn't received their ballots yet. Ooh, state officials said 3 of the stolen ballots that were cast fraudulently did not make it through the signature verification process and were counted as legitimate votes. Why is that? That's more concerning than the 3 votes. Much more concerning than the 3 votes is the fact that they didn't make it through the verification process, and yet we're still counted anyway. That's the problem. That's a much bigger problem. I don't care about 3 votes. I care about the fact that they're stupid, non-verified, unverifiable signatures were accepted, because that's reflective of thousands of others that certainly did not pass muster that were accepted.
The Pennsylvania Supreme Court election that just happened was decided by like 600 votes.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how that's the ultimate problem. That's where there has to be accountability. That's where I get really annoyed. I mean, the 3 people here, 12 people, 3 votes here, 12 votes there. Even, let's face it, 200 votes here or there. It's unlikely to have an impact. It's the thematic way that these elections are being operated. That's the people I really want to see prosecuted. I want to see whoever's overseeing these things, whoever's overseeing it, and saying that this verification process, even though it doesn't meet verification, we're going to count these ballots. Those are the people I want to see pay. Those are the people who I want to see prosecuted. Those are the people
I
who
want to
should
see
be
the
going to
federal
jail.
government actually use their power to look into that 2,000 mules.
That's what we need. That's what we need Ed Martin on. That's what we need Ed Martin on. That's exactly what I want to see him on. I want to see him going after the Dana Nessels of the world, who basically serve as Secretary of State, the Jocelyn Bensons of the world. I want to see them go after them and say, hey, look, you were violating a federal crime when you screwed up the integrity of our federal election by not following your own rules. Look at the case Texas versus Pennsylvania from 2020. That's the roadmap for how they basically screwed up in their own elections intentionally. And that someone who's overseeing that, implementing a policy like that, there has to be statutes you can get them for on that they're not abiding by their own state legislation and thereby damaging a federal election. That's what I want to see. That's the prosecutions. That way people recognize that if they fail to live up to their responsibilities, if they willfully flout their responsibilities for purposes of their own political motivations, that they will be held accountable. That's what we need. That's the only way. It's only through accountability. And everyone knows this. It's only through accountability that we are ever going to see a change to this problem. And the accountability is not the yokel who steals 12 ballots like an idiot and happens to get busted. That small fry over there is designed to appease people like me and you who care about election integrity and say, oh, wow, we're getting them. Now we're getting them. That's nothing. That's a nobody, a loser who no one's going to remember and no one cares about, and it's not going to have any impact on there being 10,000 other idiots who'll do the exact same thing. No, we need to have the people at the top who are approving these ridiculously unverified signatures and giving this sanction and saying, go ahead and count those ballots. Those are the people who need to be held accountable. Those are the people who need to spend time in prison. When that starts happening, then we'll start seeing people hopefully start taking their duties far more seriously and ensuring that they're upholding the standards that their own state legislature requires them to uphold. It's that simple.
Yeah, that's why I was glad to hear that the federal government, Pam Bondi and Harvey Dillon are looking into the Tina Peters case out of Colorado, the woman who got railroaded for trying to look at the fraud.
Yeah.
And she's doing 7 years or 9 years in state prison for being a whistleblower.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. There's one more here.
Wanda Geter Pataki, vice chair for the Bridgeport Democratic Party in Connecticut, has turned herself into police for alleged voter fraud after she was caught stuffing ballot boxes in 2023. But the media and Democrats told me voter fraud was a myth. Let's get some video. What do we got here?
This is just them talking to her, like as she's going in. I do have the right here, the story.
Is she looking awkward? Is she looking awkward there? We need to see her look. There's got to be a way to make this bigger.
Wanda, any comment on the new charges?
Oh, that looks tragic. So sad.
And this is from the this is a couple weeks old. This is from end of February. I was just bringing up the stuff that was the last few weeks of the the voter fraud stuff. So 5 charge following an
No
investigation.
worries, but I need bigger though. Like much bigger. There, one more. All right, 5 charge following investigation into handling of absentee ballots in 2023 elections. Chief State Attorney Patrick J. Griffin today announced that 5 people have been criminally charged in connection with the misuse of absentee ballots during the 2023 Bridgeport Democratic mayoral election cycle. Inspectors from Statewide Prosecution Bureau and the Office of the Chief State Attorney today arrested Alfredo Castillo, Wanda Guider Pataki, Maria Pereira, Jez Marie Melendez, all of Bridgeport, and Margaret Joyce of Stratford. On September 12, 2023, Bridgeport held a primary election for Democratic Party candidate nomination for mayor. Candidates were incumbent Mayor Joseph P. Ganim and his challenger Joseph Gomez. Ganim was declared the winner after the absentee ballot votes put him ahead of Gomez. Wow, they were successful in basically stealing an election. Who was the victor at the polls on September 13th,
using absentee ballots.
Yeah. The Bridgeport Police Department received a complaint alleging that Gita Pataki violated state laws regarding absentee balloting. So wait, who was the winner in the end? It was Ganim over Gomez? And Ganim is not named here though. Is he?
I don't know if they tied it to the mayor. Them were able to actually tie it to the mayor, sitting mayor, who they put over the top, or if it was just people doing it on his behalf.
Mm-hmm. Gomez filed civil lawsuit in Superior Court in Bridgeport alleging absentee ballot fraud shortly thereafter, resulting in a court-ordered new primary. The Bridgeport complaint was referred to the State Elections Enforcement Commission, or the SEEC. The SEC subsequently referred the case to the Office of the Chief State Attorney for further investigation by the Statewide Prosecution Bureau. SEC referred 2 additional complaints for investigation alleging Pereira violated Connecticut election laws during the same primary. They all I'll tell you right now, the situations where their elections are not fraught with fraud are probably far rarer than the ones where they are. It's a sad state of affairs. It really is. But
yeah. I mean, I personally think that's what happened with those 4 Senate seats. You know what I mean? Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. It's weird that, it's weird. Especially
weird
when
things
you
happen.
look into it and they're like, wait, so these votes that put these senators over the top were senator only votes? They didn't vote for anyone else. It was just votes for senators.
It's strange. It's strange.
Like why wouldn't they people decide to vote for president or anything else?
It's curious. I would dare say it's curious.
It's weird.
It's weird.
The chick from Cinderella was or Snow White. Weird.
All right. I think we're going to start landing the plane over here.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you this. I personally think you did a great job here.
I tried. I'll get better. It'll take me a little while.
And the first day is the roughest. The first time when you sort of feeling each other's vibes, that's the roughest.
I had 12 tabs, and I was hoping that was enough, and it wasn't. So now I know I need more.
Now you're learning. Yeah. No, I'm not kidding when I say I start a show with like normally 20, 25 tabs. Unless I know one of them, I'm going to end up spending like a half hour, 45 minutes on. I'll have 25 tabs more often than not. So,
I do have one feel-good story if you want to end with it.
What's your feel? Give me your feel. Jim doesn't want to go. All right. So all right. Let's see what Jim has for us, so we can all feel good going into the weekend. Because tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. we resume, and this I'm going to urge you, if you haven't been watching it, if you like seeing a cop get destroyed on cross, join me tomorrow at 9 a.m. because Alan Jackson is going to decimate Yuri Buchanan on the stand. Decimate him. Okay, so I urge you, join me tomorrow. It's going to be fun. He is going to embarrass the hell out of this guy because his fired underling, Michael Proctor, he's already said, oh, he did great work. He did great work here. Integrity. And he spent 2 hours so far destroying him, and he's probably going to spend most of tomorrow doing more of that. You're really going to enjoy it, so you don't want to miss it. So,
I just kept hearing that Ricky Ricardo in my mind when, Lucy, you're going to have some splaining to do.
Yes. All right. Jim survives, gets to work another day, but we are watching you. Well said, indeed. So let's get our feel-good story here before we close out. South Carolina firing squad botched execution of cop killer Mika Mahdi as bullets missed his heart, left him alive longer than it was intended. Oh, no. Did we miss? Oh, no. That's terrible. Is that painful? Does that hurt? I'm so sorry.
And if you want to watch the little video, or if you want to read the rest of it,
we cannot. If the video shows a person being shot.
No, I don't think it's gonna, because this is the New York Post. They wouldn't show that, would they?
Okay, we're not playing
just
around.
Read it then.
We're not playing around. Make it a little bigger. Make it a little bigger, so we can read it. All right. A South Carolina firing squad definitely accidentally tried to shoot a cop killer.
They didn't purposely miss his heart.
To be a cop killer, and in the heart, and missed in a botched execution that left him in excruciating pain as he bled out, according to an autopsy and experts. Oh no, that's terrible. This poor man. I feel so bad for him. And I'm sure it was purely an accident. They were doing their best. Sometimes you shoot and you miss. That's just the way it is. That's just, they were trying to put him out of his misery.
Well, he chose that, though. He got to choose between the electric chair or firing squad, and he chose firing squad.
Trust me, if it was electric chair, it would have been like 200 volts short of what it
would have been like that.
200 volts short.
Where they forgot to put the sponge or whatever, the water on the sponge.
I didn't see the Green Mile, but yeah, it would have been.
Oh, you didn't?
An hour and a half of that head smoking. And like, is he done? Is he fried yet? Nope. Mikal Mahdi, who murdered a South Carolina police officer during a crime spree in 2004, was shot to death by a 3-person firing squad on April 11th, but an autopsy later revealed that none of the bullets hit his heart directly. His chest showed only 2 bullet wounds instead of 3. The other one was in his nuts. The bullets that struck him entered his liver and other internal organs and allowed his heart to keep beating. As he remained alive for roughly a minute, experts said hopefully they went to get a court order to find out whether or not they can shoot him again in the heart to put him out of his misery, and got a quick order from the judge. Let's see if we can remedy this situation or if we have to leave him in this situation. Mr. Mahdi did experience excruciating conscious pain and suffering for about 30 to 60 seconds after he was shot, pathologist Dr. Jonathan Arden wrote in his analysis of the state autopsy. Those 3 cops were bought like a round of beers that night, I can promise you. Arden, who was hired by Mahdi's lawyers to review the autopsy, added that Mahdi was alive and reacting longer than was intended or expected. In July 2004, Mahdi went on a multi-state crime spree, committing carjacking, firearm robbery, and 3 murders, including that of 56-year-old off-duty police officer James Myers, who was shot at least 8 times before his body was burned. Unbelievable. Let's look at this monster. Oh man, they enjoy.
Kind of looks like that guy from the grounds guy from Wisconsin that ran over the. Got the same kind of yeah.
I'm not seeing that. But he's not going to die instantaneously from this. Dr. Carl Wiegand, a forensic pathologist who reviewed the autopsy. I like how you call this a feel-good story. I like your perspective on feel-good stories. This is this would, even if you didn't get the 15 chats just for labeling this the feel good story, this would have got this one. You definitely should. This was like, yeah, Joe, you're gonna want this one. Oh my God! On May 8th, lawyers for Mahdi told the South Carolina Supreme Court that his execution was botched, citing the state's autopsy and a forensic report. Constitution of South Carolina bans cruel, unusual punishment, but this was totally an accident. Oh my gosh. But the state Supreme Court ruled last year firing squad executions were not cruel because prison would not suffer longer than 15 seconds. Whoops. The evidence for us convinces us though an inmate executed via firing squad is likely to feel pain, perhaps excruciating pain, that the pain will last only 10 to 15 seconds, the justices wrote. unless there's a massive botch of the execution in which each member of the firing squad simply misses the inmate's heart. Stuff happens. In March, death row inmate chose execution by firing squad 5 weeks after the state carried out its first death by bullets. That's a great story. That's a great way to close it out. Oh, excellent job. Excellent job there. There you go. There you go. All right. Well, that's our show. If you can let people know, where can they find you if they're so inclined?
You can find me on Twitter at Jim Satala. You can find me on YouTube at Jim Tells You, on Rumble at Jim Tells You, and on Locals at Satala Consulting, LLC.
I want to publicly thank you for the remarkable job that you've done here tonight. I really think you did excellent work. And I do look forward to working with you again in the future. So
whenever you need someone to bounce stuff off of, I'm available.
Yeah. No, I like I said, I'm definitely going to call upon you again. I think that this was good, and I think that our rapport only gets better the more times you sort of sit down with someone. So yeah, that sounds.
And if you ever just need someone to crack jokes during a trial,
or if I ever just if I'm feeling alone and confused, I'll just ring you. Everyone, you can just put your hands together for Jim. Listen to that applause. It's awesome.
Sally Port Ghost, it was Jim Satala, was my YouTube channel, and I changed it to Jim Tells You because it sounded more like a channel that people might actually watch.
I like it. It's good. It's good. All right. You know what they say. It's Thursday night, so there's not going to be a show tomorrow night. I doubt there'll be one Saturday night. We'll see. Maybe we'll have to look into it. And what else we got? Lab meets is for they, them. Definitely not for you. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. You're gonna want to see the cross of Yuri Buchanan. You're gonna want to see that. Don't eat the bugs. That's my show. I'm sticking to it. Good night, you all, and Godspeed.